I just remember being excited. This is gonna be hard for me. We had just had little grandsons, and we were wondering if we were ever gonna have little girls. And then Mary told us she was dating a guy with three little girls, and we were a little overwhelmed at first for Mary, thinking, wow, that's a lot to take on. But we knew after her being with the girls that how much she loved them. And they're just so cute. And I just remember Jewel always being the little mother. She was just always taking care of them. And my favorite memory was the day they got married and seeing them all in their little dresses and how sweet they looked. And we were happy for her, and we were happy to have them in our family, and we've just always thought of them as our granddaughters, and we never really thought anything different. Just took them right in. We were excited to have them. And you can talk.
Yeah, pretty much the same things what Paula just said. Is we have always loved the girls, and even though that they didn't really like me too much at first, but but we still love them to death, and we've always treated them just like any of our grandchildren, and we've really enjoyed having them in our lives. And Jewel, we knew, was going to be a great mother, and she's taking care of her little one just like we knew she would, and we love them all very much. And I think probably one of the biggest memories I have is when you guys went through the temple and seeing all the kids there. So that was really very exciting for me and made us very happy. So
I just know from experience being a stepmom that being a stepmom's not always easy, and I think Mary's done a good job dealing with everything that she deals with, and I think she's just loved the girls as much as if they were her own, and they've just been such a part of our family for so long. I really don't think of them as anything else but ours, and that Mary and Paul's always had them. I know they're hard workers, and really show affection and loving to the girls and the other kids, and they have a full house with having the sixth, and then little Coulter now. So I just always knew Mary would be a good mom. She's just always loved kids, always loved to babysit, loved to take care of little kids. She always loves babies. The first thing, if there's a baby in the room, Mary goes and grabs them. So she's not only been a great mom, she's been a great grandma to Coulter. And
Mary has just always been there for him, and it didn't matter what happened, she was always there. Even the struggles Mary had when she was pregnant, she was still there for the girls and helped take care of them. And Mary's always wanted a big family, and so she's got a big family. So that's what she's always wanted. So, and I know that they'll be great. Well, we just want to let you guys know that we love you very much, and we want you to know that you are some of the greatest parents and always have been, and we want to just wish you a Merry Christmas.
I know you guys have always thought of yourself one big family, and I think you're great parents, and I would think this would be a great birthday, the best Merry Christmas that you could have. having the girls think of doing this for you. So we love you and Merry Christmas.
Well, Paul and Mary, or as I usually say, Mary and Paul, I just, I've known you guys for a long time. Jewel and Tyler are 21 now. We actually met, I think it was me and Paul that met first, in second grade class, Mrs. Nelson's class, doing gingerbread houses for Christmas. Me and Paul started talking and just kind of hit it off, and then I think a couple weeks later, I get the phone call from the Girl Scouts office wanting to know if I wanted to be a leader, and I said sure, and ended up being Mary. That was my partner. So we did Girl Scouts for, about 4 years together, and we went through, and I think it wasn't too far after you guys had gotten married, and went through a couple pregnancies together. I had Andrew and then Emery, and you had Daniel and Brielle, and we kind of went into that experience together. But you guys have been there for me a lot through my marriage, through my divorce, and I've known you a long time. And part of both of your families, and you guys, I live so far away from my own families that I feel like you're a brother and a sister to me. And it's funny that I'm doing this right now just for the fact that I'm moving across the country, and I'm gonna miss you guys a lot. You've been a big help to me, and I've seen you guys go through your struggles and your joyful moments, and I've seen the girls grow up, and you've seen my kids grow up, and you just are both a huge part in my life, and I will definitely cherish that for the rest of my life. And you'll always continue to be a part of my life. We've always been invited to your kids' baptisms and vice versa, and it's just great memories that I have of both of you. And when I didn't have anybody else, you guys were both there for me. And I've always appreciated your friendship and your acceptance, not just from both of you, but from your kids. And they absolutely adore me. Why, I don't know, but they do. And to Jewel saying, "This is Grandma Ginger," when she had Coulter, and no, I'm Aunt Ginger. To being friends with Paul's family and Mary's family. And I feel like even though I'm not related to you, I am related to you. You guys will always be part of my family, and I'm grateful for that. They are good parents. They want the best for their kids. They are always there for their kids. They provide for their kids no matter what. They try to help their kids through their struggles and through the good moments, the bad moments. And I think they're great parents. Nobody's perfect, and they've made mistakes, and so have I. But in the end, they truly love all of you guys. And I remember, like I said, you guys were still pretty little when Mary married your dad, and she's taken you guys as her own, and she loves you guys with no doubt. And she's a good mom, and Paul's a great dad, and I think you guys are very lucky to have Paul and Mary as your parents, and for them to have you as their children. And I will just close with how much I love you and appreciate you guys, and Merry Christmas.
Well, you guys, we remember the very beginning when Paul came home and said, "I got somebody to take care of the girls' hair while we go on a daddy-daughter date." And it was somebody in his institute class. And he said, "I asked for volunteers, and only one person volunteered. And it was Mary."
You can tell that she was dumb at that time. She didn't know yet.
Anyway, so Mary came, and I know she fell in love with the girls first before she fell in love with Paul. But so we were there all through the courtship, all through the marriage, all through everything.
That's true. But we remember them even before that, but not.
Well,
of course,
yes.
Mary wasn't in there.
Mary wasn't
at
there.
the time, and so.
Right.
But,
And we remember Mary going through those pregnancies and having
sick.
so much difficulty.
She was the sickest person I ever saw who was expecting. Always.
Daniel, she looked like she had come out of a concentration camp by the time she gave birth to him. So those precious souls that she's had are precious to us. But of course, we knew Paul with Jewel and JC and Jasmine before Paul and Mary were married. And so they're our grandkids too.
In fact, we bought that house specifically so that the girls had a place that was theirs.
Yeah. So that's the house we're in. Your dad just said he looked at the handprints in the cement outside.
It's written, their names, we have it
Yeah,
written.
we have. It's
Right in the cement.
when that sidewalk was poured.
Isn't that what family is?
Yeah.
I mean, that's,
It is. So we do our family history to trace back, but we also do family history with going forward.
and I've said this many times, you know, the very first word in family history is family.
So when we thought about coming and doing this, I said something to Mel about we won't be able to do family history this afternoon, and he says, we're doing family history.
Yeah, that's what it is. I have to say, she's the best thing that ever happened to him, just without doubt.
Absolutely.
And
she's
good.
been a daughter to us the whole time.
You know, our kids, all of them have complained and said that their spouses were always our children, and they became the in-law. And it was an accident. I mean, it really was. One day, while we were still in Lyman, George and Tam came in and sat next to us in church. And I turned over to Renita, the mother, and said, "Oh, look, there's Tammy, and George is with him." Her husband George is with her. And they've accused me of that ever since. And that's just, you ask Paul, that's exactly what he says. Yeah, Mary's your daughter, and I'm her husband.
Paul and Mary, you're such a big part of our lives, and we love you to death. When it comes to being parents, Paul and Mary are very different. And Paul is loud and demanding, and Mary is very peaceful and caring.
And knows exactly what she really wants.
Yes, she does.
They used to say about my mother and father, they'd say, Grandpa is always kind of hard on the outside, but soft on the inside. Now, Grandma was kind of soft on the outside, but very firm inside. And I think this applies.
I think that applies to them really
Because
well.
Paul is very loud and boisterous, but really a marshmallow. And Mary is always, you know, kind of just soft and thinking that she
Caring.
knows exactly what it is she wants. And that's where
And
she's
what's
really going
right.
to go. She knows what she's doing and is organized.
And what I like is that they have kept the spiritual side as they've been parents, going to the temple, not going to the temple, and then getting back to going to the temple. Wonderful. You're part of an eternal family. We love you, Paul and Mary. Both of you, you're together now. It's Paul and Mary. Or Mary and Paul.
Yeah, it's Mary and Paul. Let's get this straight.
And we wish you happy holidays and a very Merry Christmas. And a great New Year.
And we love you dearly.
My favorite memory is from a long time ago, from when we were kids, and we went fishing with Dad, Paul, and Dad wasn't done fishing, but you and I were. And so Dad told us to like go across the mountain, follow that mountain, and we would get back to where we needed to go. So we started off walking and came across a lot of issues like marsh that was really muddy and we had to stay up higher on the hill. And it was all good and dandy until we came to the cows, that you were not willing to go through the cows because you were afraid of them. And I tried and tried to plead and beg to get you to go through the cows, and you would not. And we couldn't go down around the cows because of the marsh. And so we had nowhere to go. And finally we ended up saying a prayer together, and pretty soon Dad was driving back and happened to see us and ended up having somebody that had a boat go across the river to pick us up and take us back over to get home. So that's probably the memory that stands out the most of growing up and of us being kids. Although another favorite thing that I loved is by the time he became a teenager and wasn't a pesky little brother anymore, that you and I would always go on walks, and whenever it was anything that you wanted to talk about, like girls that you liked or how things were going with school, we would always go for walks and you would talk to me about that. So those are the things that I remember the most from growing up. As far as when you first met Mary, we actually weren't around. We were around when Jewel, JC, and Jasmine all came along in your life, in and out as Mike was in the military and when I would come home. And we loved Jewel from the very beginning when she became part of your life. And Jewel and JC and Jasmine as they came along too. But because we weren't around so much, we heard the stories a lot about Mary, but as far as when you guys first met, we weren't around for all of that. But we have been around for quite a few years now to see as after you guys have been married and had more kids and have watched Mary as you have taken these three girls, Jewel, JC, and Jasmine, as your own and raised them just like you have the rest of your kids. And it's meant a lot to me to watch the kind of mother you have been to all of them.
Probably the favorite memory I have is when Kaylin and I were dating, and I was at school at BYU, and you'd come down for something, and we're hanging out at my place, and Kaylin was making us cookies. I don't know if you remember this, Paul, but she's still frustrated. She still talks about this all these years later, 27 years later, that as she would pull them out, you and I would eat them before she could even get them off the cookie sheet. And I don't know how many we ate that day, but I know it was a lot. But she's still bitter about that, and talks about it often in a negative manner. I think as it relates to parenting, one of the things that as I sat here and listened to everybody else today, we had come out here for a vacation for a holiday. I don't think we were moving yet, but I think we'd come out for something. And our family was big on games, and Jewel was probably maybe 5. And we didn't know her that well and whatever, because like Kaylin said, we'd been gone and off at the military and school and different things and work. And she wanted to play with us, and so we sat down and we played. I have no idea what game it was, but I remember playing with Jewel, and she was about, I say she 5, 6 years old. And after she was done playing and different things and wandered off, you came up and said how grateful you were that we would include her in that process as being part of the game, even though we really didn't know her that well. And it just reminded me that day as I was sitting here listening to everybody that while we all have our own issues, overwhelmingly as I've watched you grow, develop, and grow up. Your overarching desire has always been what's best for your girls and your son, and to watch you become that parent. And it was clear that day when we were playing games with Jewel that it meant a lot that we would do that, but it also meant a lot to me to realize that you were concerned about her and her safety and her wanting to fit in, and things like that. So that's the type of parenting I've seen out of you. The fact that you're trying hard to do the best for your kids. And when you fall down, because we all do, you get back up and you continue to try to do what's good for your kids. So, and I think this video proves that in and of itself.
When I was thinking about parenting and the kind of parents that you guys have been, one of the things that I remember, Paul, you saying to me is that you felt like you needed to be even more strict with your kids because you felt like your parents disciplined you, or our parents still disciplined us, but you still went astray and still had your struggles. And so you thought, if I can be even stricter with my kids than your own parents were with you, then maybe they're not gonna go astray. And so I know it's because of the love that you have for them and wanting the best for them that you do the things you do, and it shows. And as everyone has said, none of us are perfect parents. We've all had our struggles and we've all had ups and downs with our children, but you guys have always shown through the choices that you've made with your kids that you love them and care about them and want what's best for them. We love you guys. Merry Christmas. We're happy that that we're all family and that we're all together.
I concur.
Mary and Paul, I'll never forget the day that Mary, you came home and says, Mom, I met a guy in Institute who asked somebody to come help with doing his daughter's hair for a daddy-daughter dance. And nobody would volunteer, and I felt so bad, so I raised my hand and volunteered to go do his daughter's hair, make it through this. And I told her right at the beginning, when I knew this guy that she was going to go help with his daughter's hair, she was in trouble. So she went and did the oldest girl's hair, which was Jules. And I don't remember if it was a couple days later or a week later when he'd asked for help again with one of the girls'. And so Mary went and helped him. And I told Mary again, I says, you're going to get sunk in with this guy and these kids. About a week later, she comes home and says, Mommy's taking me out to dinner or lunch, I don't remember which, to thank me for my help. And I told Mary at that time, I told you, Mary, at that time that you were sunk. And it was a done deal. And needless to say, I was right. I remember when Paul was comfortable enough with me that his first thoughts of Mary, and he felt so embarrassed because it was in Institute that these thoughts of Mary came to his head, and that was that Mary walking up the aisle and him thinking what a cute butt she had. So, needless to say, I knew that these two was going to be married and be together, and he's going to bring his 3 wonderful daughters into our lives. When as Paul come around and brought the girls around, he was very strict with the girls. And I told him one time, I says, you know, that's not gonna last. He goes, oh yes it will. He says, it's gonna be my way. I says, not getting involved with my daughter in this family, it's not gonna be. And over the years, I've watched Paul mellow. and love our family, love the extended family, bring us all together. And Mary, loving those 3 beautiful girls, Jewel, JC, and Jasmine. They were all meant to be a part of our family. And I'm proud of you too. And Paul for taking my daughter and these kids through the temple and making it a whole family. And accepting me in my quirky ways. And just know I love you guys and your kids. You gave me 6 beautiful grandchildren and a great grandson. I just know I love you. And I am so proud of both of you. Merry Christmas. And I hope you guys, we all have a great New Year.
I love you guys too. I'm not good talking. So Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
When Mary first met Paul and I found out that he had 3 kids, I thought she was absolutely crazy. However, that being said, it's not surprising that Mary would be the one to marry somebody with kids because you're amazing with them and you do really great. And so I look up to you and think that you're just a phenomenal mother, having the 3 kids and having 3 more on top of that makes you even crazier, right?
Yes.
As parents, I just think you guys have done a great job. You've got 3 older daughters and 3 younger kids who have amazing spirits and are just so wonderful. So we're really proud of you.
Ditto.
Whenever we go camping up to Wyoming, we always go around the lake and always just kind of hang out in the trailer, play cards. We have yet to beat Mom. Dad cheats. You guys are the best parents ever. I love you guys. I know that if Mom hadn't came into our lives, it would be a lot different than how we're living now. And I wouldn't trade it for the world.
My favorite memory is very recent because I have a terrible memory. It's when you, Dad, and Mom came out with us and built that ginormous snowman. And it was bigger than you, Dad. It was huge and I loved it. It was fun because you didn't used to do that a lot. And so to have you out there with all of us trying to build that ginormous snowman, it was awesome. You didn't have gloves on, so you were always complaining about your hands being cold. I'm very grateful for you too. I don't show it very often, I really should. Mom, you've never ever been considered a stepmom to me. You've always been my mom. You raised me since I was 1. I don't want anyone to be mistaken saying, oh, she's your stepmom, not really your mom. I don't want that because you are my mother. You have always been my mother, no matter what. Dad was strict, as everyone has said. He was stricter than most, I would think. And Mom would just kind of be calm and collective. But now Dad's more of the calm and Mom gets angry fast. It's completely backwards.
I would say that Mom and Dad growing up, they've changed roles definitely. Altogether, you guys as parents have been absolutely amazing. Becoming a parent myself has kind of shown me the kind of love that you can have for your child. And becoming a mother myself has shown me how much love you guys have had for me. And I don't think I could ever be more grateful for that. And I don't think I would be the parent that I am today if it weren't for you guys showing me, and as we grew up, you guys are my best friends and you guys mean the world to me.
God did plan for this. He did plan for Misty and Dad to get divorced and for you guys to get married and raise us.
I absolutely love you guys. You guys are amazing parents. You guys have made me who I am today, and I wanted to thank you guys so much for everything that you've done and for everything that we've gone through. And yeah, I love you and Merry Christmas. I wanted to tell you guys just how much I love you, as I've said numerous times already, but I wanted to share some of my favorite things about both of you guys. Dad has always said that, gosh, I'm gonna cry. Dad, you've always said that I was your hero. From the day that you walked in and saw me in the situation that I was in and everything when I was just 1 year old. And you've always said that I saved your life because that was your snap into like, oh crap, you know. But really, like, and we'll always probably go back and forth about this, but you're my hero because I don't know where I would be right now if it weren't for you. I don't know what my life would have turned out growing up. I don't know what it would have turned out to be like. But my guess is that it probably would have been really bad compared to how my life has been. You have been my rock. You've been my daddy. You've been my safe place. Whenever I've had a hard time or whenever I've gone through a tough time, you've been the person I could go to and I could just hug and I could cry for a little bit, even if it was just for no reason at all. But I could still know that I was okay. And then you add Mary in there. And Mary, you're my mom. You're the one that's raised me. So Dad saved my life and started everything. And then Mary comes in and she makes everything 10 times better. And you've been my worst enemy. You've been like the evil stepmom at times. But at the same time, you know, you look at everything that we've been through and all the crap that you've dealt with me, and you come to the end of it, and right now you're like my best friend, you know? And that's what it's all about, is even though going through all of these tough times and going through everything we've had to go through in the past, in the end, I know that you guys will always be there for me, and that you'll always be a listening ear, and that you'll always have my back, and you'll help me learn how to be a good mother, and you'll help me learn how to thrive in life. Both me and JC, and even Jasmine, have something for you guys. Obviously, you probably already know what it is, but all three of us want you guys to be our parents officially. Well, Mary for all three of us, and Dad and Mary for me. I want to honor the parents that you guys have been to me. I've wanted nothing more ever since I was 8 years old to have you guys officially be my parents. So open up your presents.